Okay, so I wanted to do a video about what seems to be one of the cornerstones in kind of self-improvement. It's like there are also things that are generally considered a big part of self-improvement, like kind of often associated with the kind of the sort of discipline and the general movement of self-improvement. The most obvious one is bodybuilding. That seems to be the biggest one. You also have stuff like building a business, working hard, that seems to be something that a lot of self-improvement influencers talk about. But another thing that's really big is meditation. So I want to talk a bit about my understanding of meditation, premature though it is, and just what I think about it. So I've always been quite a big fan of meditation. I remember when I was in secondary school, we had this religious class, and like sort of religious studies, and one of the things they made us do was meditate. So we had one session where the teacher just put us through like a guided meditation, like a group of sort of 20, young kids just doing a meditation class. Quite a sight to behold. But that meditation session, it just opened me up like a can of beans. Like the state of mind I got into when I was in that meditation was just like nothing I'd ever experienced before. And to be honest, although I expect this will change, something I've never experienced since. I got in a state of complete rest and awareness of my self, sort of, but at the same time, just completely, like, so chilled out. And I remember thinking this at the time, and actually sharing this thought with the class afterwards, was what it felt like was if I'd been locked up in a room and I couldn't escape, if I was in that state of mind, I just wouldn't care, just complete sort of isolation and contentment with that isolation. So it felt amazing, and then I woke up and I came back down to reality, and I experienced slightly more than what a lot of people experienced in that session, just because it really stuck with me. In a way that I don't know if it did stick with other people or not. Guess I never really found out, but it had a pretty profound impact on me, at least during the meditation. And then after that, I just went back to my normal life, so it didn't really have much of an impact on my general life, other than I sort of acknowledged there was some power to meditation that I hadn't understood. And I tried meditating a bit here and there, like everyone does sometimes. But apart from that one experience I had in that class, my whole attitude to meditation in terms of my daily life was pretty much the same. And that's been the case right up until very recently. I've had a few bouts here and there where I've tried to get into it, but it's only recently that I've religiously started meditating every day. So, why is that? Well, I want to start meditating principally because I believe it will massively improve my quality of sleep. And I think it'll also help me get out of my head in certain social interactions. So, why do I think it's going to improve my sleep? Well, sleep's always been a big thing for me. I've struggled to get enough sleep, struggled to sleep well enough, struggled to get myself to bed on time, struggled to wake up. Sleep's always been difficult for me, as it is for a lot of people. So my solution to sleep, to improving my sleep, is to control my thoughts via meditation, so I can get my body, my mind, better into a state where it's appropriate to be in for sleep. If you know Hamza, he's like a YouTuber, he talks a lot about this. I think it'll be a long time before it has any difference on my sleep schedule. But, often I go to bed and I start thinking like, I should be asleep now. Why am I not asleep? I start spiraling out of control and thinking about, God, I'm going to be tired tomorrow, that kind of thing. I think meditation is one of those things that stops that from happening. And the other reason, talking about social interactions, well, there's lots to get into here, but I think what a lot of people don't realise is socialising is quite a subconscious thing. Like, if you're really good at socialising, if you're really naturally social person, you don't really think about what you're doing so much. If you're good at driving a car, you don't really think, you don't really consciously do a lot of things that someone who isn't very experienced driving a car would do. So you come up to a traffic light and you put the pedal on, put the brake on, go into first gear. You just do that kind of automatically. There's a real flow to your activity. Meanwhile, someone who isn't very experienced at driving, it takes a little longer to, they're doing it more consciously. They're thinking, right, get it into first gear. It gets to going step by step. And I had a situation today where it's always kind of an awkward thing, like when do you go to hug someone or when do you just sort of nod at them awkwardly? And this girl who's I know through other friends, she came up to me and was like, oh, hi, and just gave me a hug. And it was just very natural. There was nothing conscious about the way she did that. So anyway, and I just thought, wow, she's really in the flow state of socialising. And I think while exposing yourself to social situations is a big part of, getting into that flow state with socialising, I think meditation can benefit you as well. And I wouldn't say I'm antisocial person at all. I think I'm pretty confident socialising, but I do recognise that I'm often not in that flow state that I want to get to. I think socialising is most enjoyable, and you can have the most kind of loving interactions with people, where you're not thinking like, oh, do I hug them? Do I go for the handshake? Oh, it's a bit awkward. You just kind of know what to do naturally. You're reading off the other person, and it's the same with talking to girls as well. By extension, like I remember one time I was in, I was sort of travelling around Europe, staying in these youth hostels, and it started summer, a lot of single girls in these hostels, and I remember one time I was just in my dorm, and this this girl came in who was quite attractive and said, I got talking to her, and then we ended up going to get a coffee together, and went for a walk, had nice conversations, and then we went and sat down by the beach, and so looked out into the sun setting, had a cigarette. It was very kind of in Naples. It was all very kind of the kind of in my head I was thinking, this is the perfect opportunity to make a move on this girl, and I was just steeling myself to do it, and then eventually I put my arm around her, and she was like, "Oh, I've got a boyfriend." And I think that's a classic example of where I was stuck in my own head. I wasn't sort of reading off her, and if you, I don't have a lot of time for pick-up artists per se. I think it's hazy territory, but one thing that a lot of pick-up artists will tell you, Travel Bomb, is it's all about reading off the other person, and a lot of that is done by meditation and getting outside your own thoughts and reading off what the other person says is doing. So that's that, and socialising as well. You just read off the other person, so you know if it's appropriate to go in for a hug or a handshake or whatever. These are stupid examples in one sense, but I hope you get the sort of thing I'm getting at here. So that's my thoughts on meditation and its benefits. They're quite practical benefits, which in some sense isn't really what meditation is. Meditation is this big spiritual thing. I definitely think you can go deeper with meditation. But those are the kind of things that I think it will be most helpful for me. And in terms of my, terms of how much I'm doing it, I'm literally doing 3 minutes a day, so nothing basically. 3 minutes a day, I don't even use an app. I just set a timer on my phone, try to concentrate on my breath, and when I'm not, try and bring it back to the breath until the alarm goes off. So nothing really, but I do it every day, and I think that's the thing. Just consistency is what you need to gain progress. These kind of things. So yeah, that's my thoughts on meditation.